Welcome to This Explainer. There is just endless noise out there about how the ultra-wealthy manage their taxes. But today, we're completely ignoring the mess and leaning entirely into the actual machinery of the system. We're going to break down the real mechanics of money and wealth building so you can see exactly how the rules of the game are actually played. Well, let's be real for a second and acknowledge a major frustration. Every single year, millions of hardworking people put in the hours, earn their paycheck, and then watch a massive chunk of it just disappear into taxes. It's naturally discouraging, right? Especially when the headlines constantly remind us that certain billionaires are legally paying a fraction of what you'd expect them to. Seeing that disparity naturally leads us all to a pretty fundamental question. Is the whole system just rigged against the everyday earner right from the start? Or, and hear me out here, do wealthy people simply understand a rule book that most of us never take the time to read? Because think about it, if it's just a matter of knowing the rules, well, that fundamentally changes how every single one of us should approach our finances. All right, let's jump into our first section, the big tax myth. So many people assume there's this secret back door reserved strictly for the ultra-rich. But the biggest advantage isn't a secret at all. It's just applied knowledge. The system doesn't actually care who you are. It cares how your money is made. It's wild to think about, but a dollar earned from a standard W-2 salary is viewed entirely differently by the tax code than a dollar generated through a business or an investment. Moving right along to Section 2, legal planning versus evasion. Now, the term tax avoidance might sound kind of sneaky if you're not familiar with it, but it is 100% legal and entirely intended by the lawmakers who wrote the code. It's simply utilizing the legal deductions, credits, and structures that are literally written into the law. It's basically just playing the game exactly as the instruction manual tells you to. But then on the complete opposite end of the spectrum, we have tax evasion. And make no mistake, this is a straight-up crime. We're talking about hiding money, lying on returns, deliberately breaking laws. Actually, fun fact, that's the exact strategy that famously took down Al Capone when the FBI couldn't. So when we hear stories about wealthy individuals minimizing their tax burden, we are almost exclusively looking at strategic legal tax planning, not evasion. Conflating those two things fundamentally derails the conversation, right? It turns what should be an awesome lesson in financial strategy into a debate about criminality, which totally misses the point. Okay, Section 3. Let's look at how different income is taxed. Take a small business owner, for example. Before they even declare a single dollar of taxable profit, the rules let them deduct legitimate expenses. We're talking equipment, office rent, software, payroll. Why? Because the government essentially wants to subsidize businesses so they'll reinvest, hire workers, and grow the economy. This mechanic of being taxed on your net income rather than your gross is an absolutely massive wealth multiplier. And that disparity grows even wider when we look at investments. Think about a normal employee's salary. It's taxed consistently right off the top of every single paycheck. But if someone buys and holds assets for years, they're taxed under highly favorable long-term capital gains rules. Once again, lawmakers are deliberately incentivizing a very specific behavior here, deploying your capital for long-term economic growth. Which brings us to one of the most powerful mechanics in all of wealth building: holding assets to avoid taxable events. See, selling a highly appreciated asset triggers massive taxes. So instead, the wealthy leverage their portfolios to secure low-interest loans. This creates tax-free liquidity to fund new ventures or just fund their lifestyles. They get the cash, they keep the asset, and they completely bypass the tax bill. It's a total game changer. All right, let's make this practical. Section 4, strategies you can use. Because look, these mechanics are absolutely not reserved for the 1%. Everyday workers use tax-advantaged retirement accounts all the time to legally shelter their income today or secure tax-free withdrawals for the future. The government literally rewards you for locking away your capital. The wealthy just happen to learn these rules earlier and apply them relentlessly, letting compound interest do the heavy lifting over decades. Strategic charitable giving is another huge tool. By donating highly appreciated assets instead of just cold hard cash, philanthropists can often avoid capital gains taxes entirely while still taking a full tax deduction. It's incredible because it creates immense benefits for vital causes in society while perfectly optimizing the donor's financial footprint at the same time. This brings us to our final section. Section 5, the power of education. True financial success doesn't come from frantically searching for a magic, secret loophole in the dead of night. As our source perfectly points out, the The wealthy spend years learning how money actually works. It's really about mastering the kind of boring but incredibly effective mechanics of taxes, risk, and leverage. And this is a trap so many of us fall into, right? We gladly spend thousands of hours at our jobs learning how to earn a paycheck, but practically zero time learning how to protect and grow that money once it finally hits our bank accounts. Hard work is what earns the money for sure, but financial literacy is what actually keeps it. So to recap, you absolutely do not need to be a billionaire to leverage this framework. It starts with the fundamentals. Take the time to understand your country's tax code, build out a solid budget, and create a defensive emergency fund. From there, you avoid toxic debt like the plague and deploy your capital into investments, but only after you actually understand the risks. The real secret is just relentless, ongoing education. So the next time you hear someone say the rich don't pay taxes, just remember that the full story is always a matter of mechanics, not magic. The ultimate financial advantage isn't having more capital. It's possessing the knowledge of how to deploy it within the rules of the game. Money is always going to come and go, but an educated decision pays dividends for a lifetime. So I leave you with this. Are you ready to start investing in your own financial education?